Hello everyone. I made this video I'm sharing today after probably hundreds of hours of researching on this topic. No one's paid me. I don't work for any organization. I'm just a person who wants to know the truth. So before we get started, I just ask that everybody suspend their preconceived notions and beliefs on this topic and just allow yourself to question and revisit what you think is true. Thank you for watching and for sharing. This is for anybody, whether you own a dog or not. It's really important that everyone be educated about this specific breed because they are extremely popular right now. They make up an overwhelming majority of dogs that are in adoptable dogs that are in shelters. So, people that adopt dogs are more than likely going to get a pit bull or a pit bull mix. Anyways, let's just get right into it. So, we're just going to start doing some basic background research on, what is the history of this dog. So, obviously, the name pit bull has the word bull in it. So, pit bull dogs come from a British breed that was bred to do what's called bull baiting, which was a blood sport, a very horrific, horrible, violent, disgusting sport that used to be apparently popular, where dogs were sicked on, bulls to latch on to them and basically kill them. So while people watched, because apparently that was entertainment at that time. So what happened was they started out with bull baiting, and then once that became out of fashion, the dogs were then fought amongst themselves. So instead of bull or bear baiting, they used to do it to bulls and bears. Then it turned into having these dogs attack other dogs, whether they were other bull terriers or not. So, this is the genetic core of this breed. There's really just no way around that. You cannot, explain or uh, sugarcoat that. The dog was genetically bred to take down bulls, bears, and other dogs. So every dog was bred to do a specific purpose. Like a retriever is bred to retrieve, fowl that their owner shot down, and they would retrieve the fowl and bring it back to the owner. Border collies were bred to herd sheep, right, and keep them within a border. So every dog was bred to do a certain thing, and that makes up their characteristics. So the pit bull, it was put into a pit, literally, with a bull. So if you look up bull baiting, um, the dogs would chain up the bulls. And by the way, just so you know, a bull is a male cow, and they weigh on average 1,100 to 2,200 pounds. So these are massive, huge animals. And these dogs were bred to leap onto the immobilized bull. They would put a stake in the ground, tie the bull to the stake, or dig a pit, put the bull or the bear in the pit, and these dogs, bulldogs, would leap and latch themselves onto the snout, the face, the neck, and not let go. They were trained to do that. So their biting is such that it latches on to critical points and rips and tears and does not let go. Now, these dogs were literally taking down, like I said, 1,000 to 2,000 pound bulls. I'm sure bears probably are about the same size. So it was bulls and bears, and then when that went out of fashion, it moved to dogs, these dogs fighting other dogs. So this is what they are for. It's 100% what this dog was made to do. And it says right in their Wikipedia page, it's believed that all dogs classified now as pit bulls descend from this breed, these two breeds. The Old English Bulldog and the Black and Tan Terrier, which they bred together. The Old English Bulldog was used for bear and bull baiting, and they mixed it with the Black and Tan Terrier to make it lighter and more agile when they moved over to dog fighting. So they added the Black and Tan Terrier once they switched from bull and bear baiting to dog fighting. So the pit bull that we have today is the crossbreed of those two dogs, which was made to attack other dogs to the death. So please understand this fighting, bull baiting, bear baiting, and dog fighting is to the death. It's not to just bite another dog, it's to kill the other dog. It's to kill the bull, it's to kill the bear. So in order for the dog to do that, they have to have a very extremely strong and devastating bite. And that's the difference between a pit bull and a regular dog. When a regular dog bites you, they bite and they release, and you'll have like little puncture wounds on you. I've been bitten by a dog when I was young. I think it was a German Shepherd mix. He bit me on my hand. I had some puncture wounds. It hurt really bad, but I didn't need to get reconstructive surgery. He bit me and he released. So pit bulls, when they bite, they were created to bite and not let go. And when they bite, they rip and they tear and they go for the face, the throat, and they go for even the stomachs. They'll disembowel. And this is because this was what the dog was made to do. They were made to fight to the death and to not stop until they're dead or the other dog's dead. And that's something we're going to see also if you do some research, you'll see this also, that people consistently say over and over again when they've witnessed pit bull attacks that there was nothing they could do to get the dog to stop. They are hitting them over the head with frying pans, sometimes tasers won't even stop them. So hundreds of years, this is how they've been bred to behave. So keep that in mind as we continue to look at more things, because it's really important to understand the history of the dog, um, because the people who are gatekeeping about this topic, they continually use the argument that it's about the owner, not the dog. It's just the owner. It's the owner's fault that the dog's, aggressive. And if you raise it since a puppy, and you're a good owner, the dog won't be aggressive. But as we'll see, that's not the case. But that's what you hear over and over and over again. It's not the dog, it's the owner. But we need to understand we're dealing with genetics. We're dealing with breed characteristics. You cannot train that out. It doesn't matter how good of an owner you are, you cannot take the pit bull out of the pit bull. The name comes from literally being put in a pit with a 1,000, 2,000 pound bull and killing that bull, attacking that bull to the death. One thing I noticed when I started researching pit bulls is there's so much pro pit bull propaganda, more than like any other dog I've ever seen on the internet.
Pit bulls, they're the best dogs. Some of the best dogs.
The breeds.
They are so loyal and so sweet, and they love people. They do it because they almost fight because they want people's approval. That's like they're trained to. They're engineered to. So it's a strange dog. They're super intelligent, man. Like pit bulls are really intelligent. Like they connect with you. They connect with you like they're your buddy in a weird way. That like it's an intensity that's you don't get from a lot of other dogs.
They look you in the eye, and their head is the same size as yours.
Yeah, and they're fucking sweet, man. Like a good one that's raised well. That's you have it since it was a puppy. They're so sweet to people. You just got to exercise it.
Their reputation's back.
The reputation
no
is
one's
there
scared
for
of
a
pit bulls
reason.
Anymore.
They're an aggressive dog. If someone does a bad job training them,
yeah,
and and they're accustomed to getting into fights, they'll fight in the middle of nowhere. What, bitch? Yeah. And they'll just fucking knock over garbage cans and start going to war. They're ready to fight, like at a drop of a hat. And they're engineered that way.
The pro pit bull propaganda is so in it, incredible. It's so incredible, and it's everywhere. And so here's Joe Rogan saying they're the best dogs. They're so sweet. They're, all this stuff. So let's just look at the facts. Let's see. Is that true? Is this true? Does it really matter? Are they different if you get them, like you said, you just have to have them since they're a puppy. You have to just train them good. Um, and they're great, wonderful, perfect family dogs. But it's just up to you and how you train them. Let's just see if that's true. So, one thing I thought was super interesting when I'm researching is that um, pit bulls are actually banned from a lot of places and a lot of countries. So I thought, well, okay, obviously something's going on if like multiple countries are banning this specific breed. Delta Airlines banned pit bull dogs because there's been so many attacks from pit bull dogs. It's the only dog that's been banned from their airlines. And another interesting thing is PetSmart, one of the probably the biggest pet store chain. They have daily like doggy day camp. And even PetSmart, I think it's been since 2008, has had a ban on pit bulls from attending their doggy daycare. And it says right here, furthermore, for the safety of all animals and associates, we cannot accept dogs of the bully breed classification or wolf hybrids, including but not limited to American Pit Bull Terriers, Miniature Bull Terriers, American Staffordshire Terriers, Staffordshire Bull Terriers, American Bulldogs, Bull Terriers, or mixed breeds that have the appearance or characteristics of one of these breeds. Okay, so PetSmart and Delta Airlines, what do they know that the average person doesn't know? Because I never heard that. I never heard that they were banned from PetSmart Doggy Daycare. I never heard that they were banned from Delta Airlines. I mean, these are, billion-dollar companies. So clearly, if they're going to ban a certain breed, it's because there's a problem and they don't want to get sued, okay? They care more about their pockets and not getting sued than they do about, pro pit bull lobbyists getting mad at them. It took me a while, but I found this amazing website called dogsbite.org. It's run by one woman who she does this all by herself after she was horrifically attacked while she was jogging by a pit bull many years ago. She started this nonprofit because nobody was tracking these attacks. And come to find out, and this is actually, I forgot to show you, this is actually on the Pitbull Wikipedia page. It says in 2000, a 2000 joint review done by the CDC and the Humane Society of the United States and the American Veterinary Medical Association found that pit bull type dogs accounted for 67% of human dog bite related fatalities in the United States There appears to be a breed-specific problem with fatalities. Pit bull type dogs were identified in approximately one-third of dog bite fatalities in the United States between 1981 and 1982. Okay, 1992. Okay. And then it says in the year 2000, the CDC stopped tracking dog bites. For some strange reason, after this study came out showing that pit bulls were responsible for one-third of deaths, being only like 5% of the dog population, all of a sudden the CDC, out of the blue, after a whole career of tracking dog bites, uh, dog deaths, dog attacks, they just decided to stop collecting dog bite data. So that is why Colleen at dogsbite.org started this organization so somebody would track this because the government decided to stop tracking it. And then in 2013, the Obama administration said that breed specific legislation and tracking and all this was just unnecessary and waste of resources and funds. So basically nobody is tracking this. Nobody is objectively tracking this stuff. So excuse me. Colleen started dogsbite.org, and I recommend everybody please share this site with everybody you know. Write it on the inside of bathroom stalls. Do whatever you can to get this information out because this is literally like life or death. And it's not just about for people that own them, it's for anybody that is in their vicinity. Anybody who walks past one with a dog, without a dog, is in serious, serious danger. And the average person has no clue, myself included. I had no clue. I was around one all the time for months. I lived in a house with one. And I had no clue what danger I was putting myself in. So saying that they're the best dogs and they're so loyal to their family. Well, all you have to do is spend 10 minutes, not even, on dogbite.org reading about these news stories. Here's one from October 6, 2022. If you go to the blog on the top under Dogs Bite blog, just scroll down and keep going back and you can just read. These are all news stories. So these two children were murdered by their family pit bulls that were raised with them. They had the pit bulls since they were puppies. They weren't abused. They grew up in an upper middle class home, were treated really well. So, just one day, out of the blue, because that's what everybody says, just out of the blue, they just decided to attack and kill these children and almost killed the mother. So they had these dogs for 8 years, and one day the dogs just both of them attacked and killed these two babies, 2 year old and a 5 month old. And then the mother is in critical condition because she obviously put herself in between the dogs and the kids to try to protect them. So I'm not sure if she's dead or what happened to her, but almost dead if she's critically injured. So, if you scroll down, you can see that the family bought from a breeder. They bought the puppies since they were puppies. They've had them as their family dogs. And, ironically, um, oh, here's a picture of the male and the female who killed them. And, it's very obvious when you see a pit bull type dog, you can tell immediately, even if it's a mix, you can always tell it's got a pit mix. So just, make sure, you know, you're familiar. If you're not familiar with what they look like, you need to, have that in the back of your mind that you're very familiar with what these things, the physiognomy of this dog. Um, so here's actually a Facebook post from the father of the murdered children. He posted, I can assure you nobody will take Cheech and Mia, the dogs, from myself and his wife. Ignorance is no excuse to take so many best friends out of this world. So this post was in response to people promoting BSL, which is breed specific legislation. Obviously, when someone's pet or child or family member is murdered by a pit bull, they'll support breed specific legislation, which is trying to get cities and counties to pass ordinances to ban pit bulls from living within the city limits because they don't want anybody else to get murdered, including innocent pets and animals that are just minding their own business. So this guy, this is just like peak irony. So he's like, saying, "You're not going to take my best friends away." And then, what happened? They ended up killing his own children and almost killing his wife because he didn't want to look at the facts. He just wanted to go by his ego and be the tough, cool, tough guy, with his two tough pit bulls. And look at me, I'm so cool. And, it's an ego thing. So now these two children are dead in a horrific mauling. The mom almost died for what? Because your ego? Because you can't take 20, 30 minutes to like research something to see if maybe there's a reason why people support breed specific legislation. Unfortunately, his ego has killed these children, and that is really the core of the problem. So, once again, Joe Rogan says they're the best dogs, they're the best family dogs, they're loyal, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But he said, well, you got to raise them right and have them since puppies. Well, here's this rich white family that's had them since they were puppies, and they still ended up murdering their children. Okay. Um, so that would be a not so much. You know, you can spend 10 minutes researching on this site, and it's just one after another after another. Here's a mom in Wisconsin. Their family dog, out of the blue, their family pit bull attacked the baby while it was sitting in its little bouncy thing, the chair they put him in. She put herself in between to stop the dog. She went in between and grabbed the kid, try to pull the dog off the kid, and then the pit bull starts attacking her. So she drags the pit bull into the bathroom to save the baby, right? She drags the pit bull into the bathroom and locks herself in the bathroom with the pit bull. And then her husband came home after work. She's in the bathroom, and the pit bull, family pit bull, ripped off her arms while they're in the bathroom. So her last words were, "I have no arms and I'm dying." Okay. So she did the right thing by pulling the dog into the bathroom and locking them away from the baby. However, she still exposed that baby to danger by having a pit bull in the house with the baby. So, it's just beyond tragic. The husband finally did the right thing, grabbed the dog, dragged it outside, and shot it and killed it, but it's too late. Every time I see a story like this, I just think about my family member that day in and day out has this pit bull in this house with a brand new infant and a 2-year-old toddler. So here we have again 13-month-old boy mauled to death by family pit bull. Okay, they've had it since it was a baby. It's 6-year old, and now all of a sudden, after 6 years, just decides it's gonna snap and kill somebody, just like the other one. After 8 years, it decided it was gonna snap, have a pitbull moment, and kill everybody. You never know when it's gonna happen. It's always unprovoked. You can never tell when it's coming. There's no signs, and everyone always says, "I'm so shocked. They never showed aggression before. We grew up with them. We raised them. They're such sweet dogs." Just read these stories. That's what you hear, one after another. Here's another fabulous one. A pit bull kills pregnant owner. So not only did he kill his owner, but she was pregnant, 6 months pregnant. And this one is just extra ironic because the woman who was murdered by her pit bull, she was actually a big time pit bull advocate. So that is just, peak irony. Um, Is her husband doing the right thing and advocating against pit bulls? Probably not, because I'm sure he's too afraid of the pit bull lobby because they're very, very, very powerful and they have legions of swarms of, you know, people, if you want to call them that will attack anybody who publicly speaks out against pit bulls. Here's another one from this year. A pit bull breed, a mixed breed, kills its unconscious owner. That's another thing that you'll see over and over again. Either a pit bull or a pit bull mix um, will kill their owner after they trip and fall, or like this guy went unconscious and fell over. It's very bizarre, but for some reason that seems to trigger something in them to attack. So, you think most dogs would be like wanting to help you if you like trip and fall over, if you go unconscious, but for some reason in a pit bull that triggers them to want to kill you. It's they clearly are not mentally wired right because they're supposed to be man's best friend, not man's biggest murderer. Again, here is another 2023 child killed by family dog, you know, and it's a pit bull mix. It's always a pit bull mix. My mother-in-law's pit never showed aggression towards my kids because he's been around them since he was a puppy. So Joe Rogan said, as long as you have them with a puppy and train them right, they'll be great dogs. That's not true. You can see it over and over again. The people say the same thing. They never showed aggression. I've had them since they were a puppy. They've been around the kids since they were little. So here you go. Same thing. Little kid, killed and mauled. He was only 1 year old and he was just playing outside. What triggered him, God only knows. You don't ever know. Another weird thing that I'll talk about more later, and I'll show you an example, is that pit bulls are the only breed of dog that do not give you typical warnings. Most dogs show you when they're going to attack. They'll warn you first, like baring teeth, growling, putting your ears back, stiffening the tail. Pit bulls do not do that because they were genetically bred to attack without warning. So you can't ever tell when they're going to attack. If any pit bull walks up to you with its tail wagging and a big smile on its face, you think, oh, he's a nice guy and he's just trying to be playful. Absolutely not. It's a trick. It's a trick. And that's what they were bred to do. It's very bizarre. They're the only dog that's like that. Here's another one. Family dog, which was a pit bull mix, kills the infant, almost, critically injures, almost kills the grandma. The dog was 9 years old. It was a pit mix. It was reported as a pit bull by the first responder. Right here, quote, it does not sound like the pit bull might be in the backyard, blah, blah, blah. So, interestingly, this is something you're going to see over and over again when you research this. The police departments, sheriff departments, health departments, local animal shelters, all these people, for some reason, they don't like to publish the photos of the attacker dog. They don't like to tell you it's a pit bull. They will say constantly mixed breed. They'll just say mixed breed, even though it's really obvious when a dog is mixed with a pit bull. Anybody can tell that. Anyone can tell when a dog has a pit bull in it. So for some reason, like I said, I'm not going to get deep into this, but there's clearly some sort of conspiracy going on where they do not want to report that these maulings, these life-changing violent maulings and or murders, killings, they don't want people to know that it was a pit bull. And it's very difficult to get that information. And that's literally all that Colleen does. This is like her life, all that she does. is dig up this information. She'll literally go and get the information from their Facebook page because the freaking local authorities won't report it. So here's Colleen grabbing pictures off of their Facebook page. That is clearly a pit bull mix. Anybody with eyes and two brain cells to rub together can tell that's a pit bull mix. But local authorities don't say that. Very interesting. This is something that you run into over and over again. You would think the local authorities, aren't they trying to keep you safe? Isn't the CDC and your local government, don't they care about keeping you safe? Wouldn't they want you to know about a threat that's looming in your neighborhood? That's maybe living next door or across the street? Wouldn't they want you to know? Again, we've got 1-year-old baby murdered by a relative's pit bull. This one is very horrible because the mom, you have to feel bad for her because she didn't even own the pit bull. It was her sister's mother-in-law who offered to babysit this little precious baby, and it was her who brought the pit bull around the baby, and the baby was playing in the front yard on the ground. The dog was in a fenced-in backyard, and the dog maniacally dug under the fence to run into the front yard and attack the girl unprovoked for no reason at all. That's again something that you'll see over and over again. The attacks are completely unprovoked for no reason at all. And the mama had no idea that the baby was going to be around pit bulls. But you know what? Even if she did, she might not have even protested because she didn't know. Like she says in this quote, this is the mother. I dropped my healthy, happy baby off to go to work, and the next time I saw her, she was torn to pieces and barely hanging on. I didn't know the dangers. I wasn't educated. It wasn't until Lola was attacked that I dived into research and started joining groups and pages against pit bulls, and when I did, what I found was absolutely sickening and horrifying. How could I not have known any of this? This is like so important. It's so important because they are freaking everywhere. I swear they're everywhere you look. And the average person, like me, like this poor child's mother, we didn't have any freaking clue. I didn't have any freaking clue. Here's a little kid who was attacked viciously by relatives' pit bull. This is, as you can see, the injury sustained. This is not what a Chihuahua bite does. This is not what a wiener dog bite does. And this is something that you hear over and over again from the pit advocates. They say, well, guess what? Chihuahuas are more aggressive than pit bulls. Okay, can a Chihuahua do this? Even if a Chihuahua wanted to kill you, it literally couldn't. It literally couldn't. That's the difference. And that is something that you'll hear over and over again when you start reading and researching and looking at comments. There's all these pit bull advocates that I'm not going to tell you what I really think about them in this video, but they use that over and over and over again. But the reality is, no dog breed bites like a pit bull bites, which is clutching onto the face, to the neck, even disemboweling, and they go to the death. They don't stop either until the other person's dead or incapacitated or they're dead and incapacitated. Chihuahuas don't do that. Retrievers don't do that. Labs don't do that. They're the only dog that does this. It doesn't matter what you tell people that are pit bull advocates, they don't listen. There's this really, really fantastic documentary called Pit Bulls Unleashed. Should they be banned by the Fifth Estate, which is a Canadian documentary? And so, because of the prevalence of pit bulls attacking children, there are many doctors and plastic surgeons who have come out and publicly said that this breed needs to not exist because of the damage inflicted onto people, including children. And here's just a quick clip of one of them I wanted to share.
Well, we wanted to go beyond the headlines to meet someone who's looked into thousands of attacks, case by case. Meet Dr. Michael Galinko. He's the director of plastic surgery at the Children's Hospital in Little Rock, Arkansas. He loves his dogs, but not all dogs. In your professional opinion, do pit bulls and kids mix well?
No. No. I'd like to say they do. Like I said, I'm a dog lover, and I like to say that every dog gets along well. And they may mix well with adults or other breeds. But I think there's just too much of a risk from what I've seen to kind of advocate for that or kind of sanction that.
Dr. Galinko came to this conclusion after completing 2 large bite studies involving more than 500 children admitted to hospitals in Arkansas and some 1,600 in Atlanta. 46 different breeds were identified, but when it comes to the deepest, most damaging dog bites, the pit bulls were in a class of their own.
What makes the pit bull different is that would bite and would keep on attacking, and again, as we said, in multiple anatomic locations, 2 to 3 times more likely. And any kid that went to the operating room, half the time that was a pit bull, and the other half the time it was every other breed you can think of. So to me, that's an overwhelming preponderance of data saying something is going on here, and we can maybe intervene.
And this isn't your opinion.
No, this is the data.
This is from dogsbite.org. So from 2005 to 2019, family dogs, meaning a dog owned by the family, inflicted 54% of all fatal dog attacks. 65% of those fatal dog attacks were inflicted by pit bulls. Of the 346 reported fatal pit bull attacks during that period, over half involved killing of a family member. So during that time, around 2019, pit bulls made up only 5.8% of the US dog population. So think about this for a second. 5.8% of the total dog population in the United States was responsible for 65% of all fatal dog attacks. Okay, just think about that for a minute. They're only 5.8 of the population, 5.8% of the population, but they're responsible for 65% of fatal dog attacks. Okay, that is insane. And, you know, once again, nobody knows this stuff. I didn't know it, and I just want to show you this video real quick. This girl walks out of her house, sees a loose pit bull, and clearly she doesn't know shit about pit bulls and is just, some nice idiot. She calls the pit bull over, and then the pit bull starts trying to attack her dog, but it's very interesting. I want you guys to see the dog's body language. Okay, so this delivery driver literally just saved that dog's life. Um, I don't know if I don't think she has any clue how much danger she just put herself in, but God bless her. So you can see the dog, the pit bull was smiling and his tail was wagging the entire time. That is so abnormal, and people would say, looking at that, that he's just playing. He's just playing. He's just trying to play because they have these huge Joker grins on their face and their tail is wagging. But that dog, that pit bull, locked in on that little white dog, and he was determined to get at that dog. And then, even after this woman keeps trying to stop him, he runs up still to the dog, to the door. He runs towards the door, even though it was made very obvious by the dog's owner and that delivery woman that he should stop doing that. He still was lunging and trying to get at the door. If that door wasn't there, that pit bull would have found where that dog was and ripped him to shreds and killed him. Once they lock in on their victim, who they've decided is going to be their victim, they do not stop. There's nothing that you can do to get them to stop. That's why prevention is so, so, so important. It's so important. So, over my hundreds of hours of researching and reading people's stories, um, number one, be vigilant, know what a pit bull looks like so you can identify them. It's pretty easy. Anybody can tell, a 5-year-old can tell. If you see a pit bull or a pit mix anywhere near your vicinity, you need to remove yourself from it either by getting inside, getting in the car if you're near the car. Never call it over to you. Never go put yourself near it. It doesn't matter if it's on a leash or not. 50% of the stories that I've read where a pit bull has attacked someone or their child or their pet when they're walking their dog, the pit bull was on a leash anyways. The owner can't control them. Once they decide that they're going to attack, the owner cannot control them. So it doesn't matter if they're on a leash. If you're walking your dog or walking with your family or your loved ones and you see a pit bull coming, you better stop and make sure that you're not going to cross paths with it, especially not in a lunging, you know, 2 or 3 feet where he could easily lunge and grab your pet dog by the neck or grab your child by the neck. So make sure you avoid them at all costs. If you have family members that have them, don't go over there, and definitely don't bring a pet or a kid over there. Um, There's another thing I've read that people said a pit bull was coming towards them. And here's the thing, a pit bull could be approaching you with a smile on its face and the tail wagging, and you might think, oh, he's friendly, he wants to play. But you cannot think that with pit bulls because they do not show you aggression. So if any pit bull is approaching you in any way and you are not able to remove yourself from the vicinity, you have to show dominance to kind of snap them out of it. So even just yelling on the top of your lungs, like, no, sit, sit, like really, really loud. Like somebody said that that worked for them because it kind of like confused the dog because all dogs are taught how to sit. So she said by yelling, no, sit really loud, it kind of like confused the pit bull and it like made him stop for a minute and it kind of like snapped him out of his like attack mode and she was able to get away from him. So if any pit bull's approaching you, please, if you don't have pepper spray or mace or you don't have a weapon like, anything like a baton or a stick or a gun, if you have no weapon, you have to basically startle, like confuse the dog, right? I had a pit bull that lives down the street from me run up to us when we were taking a walk. She just ran right up to us. And at that time, I hadn't read those comments of people that said that they were able to, stop a pit bull by, you know, startling it or whatever. So um, I just said, stop, the dog's approaching us. It was running towards us, But, you know, it had a big smile on its face and his tail was wagging. And I said, just freeze, stop right here. Do not make eye contact. Don't look at the dog. Don't say anything. So we just stood there kind of like frozen, and the dog looked like really confused. We just stood there until she took the dog away, and I'm obviously grateful that that's all that happened. But you know, in retrospect, I probably would have, if I had known that, I probably would have said, no, sit, like super loud and very aggressive. You're probably asking yourself, how the hell don't I know about all this? Well, because the media doesn't cover it, because there's a actually very large and well-funded pit bull lobby. So isn't that interesting? Because the last time I checked, the only people that need lobbies and lobbyists are people that do really shitty things, you know, like pharmaceutical companies and politicians and, you know, people that are like doing shady shit. They got to pay lobbyists millions and millions of dollars to like, you know, basically pay off, you know, the legislators to, you know, not get them in trouble, right? We all know what lobbyists do. So apparently, much to my amazement, come to find out, pit bulls have a very large and very well funded lobby for them. They're the only dog in the entire history of dogs that requires their own lobby.